Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Patrick, who was working in a laundry, dealing with dirty laundry all day, working overtime and not being paid that much. Very, very difficult job to have. He obviously didn't enjoy it, but he found my course, got new digital marketing skills, hustled very hard, and now he has a $50,000 a year digital marketing job that he loves very, very much. And I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, Patrick.
It's an honor being with you here, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little about your current job right now? I realized I forgot to ask you if this is it PPC or SEO, and what are you actually doing?
So currently, I'm an SEO specialist at Addiction Rehab Toronto. Essentially, I just help the site rank higher than the rest of the other addiction clinics around the area.
It's at you said at an addiction clinic.
Yep.
Wow. That's interesting because I worked at a clinic in PPC 10 years ago. Wow. Um, So yeah, that's very competitive space. And so, are you working in an office? What's the job kind of like?
So the job right now, I am working in an office. I go into the office 5 days a week. Typical 9 to 5. I work with the marketing team at the moment that they have there. They're trying to build it up at the moment, and I'm one of the first people they brought on when they're starting up their marketing campaign. And right now, at the moment, it's me and two other people, and I primarily focus on SEO. While the other two, they focus on social marketing, social media marketing, and the PPC side.
The PPC side. Got it. Wow. So you're like in on the ground floor. Um, and that's great. And how do you like the work?
The work is amazing. It's nice to. Recently, I've had the opportunity to work with plenty of other marketing campaigns and helping them with their work, and it's nice to help people sell more products and bring more business to their companies. But there's just something about helping people in the addiction field, just actually helping people find what they're looking for, and actually helps them have a better life.
That's a wonderful way to look at it, man. I mean, as marketers, we take on our clients' goals as our own. And, if you're selling iPhone cases or whatever, it's still nice to help your client reach their goal. But if you're actually helping people provide a service that helps them in their life, it's fulfilling. I had a similar experience when I worked at this, at a place like that. It's very difficult. It's difficult the work they do, but you're helping make a difference. So that sounds very satisfying. Um, and how much are you making at this job?
At this job, I'm making $50,000 a year.
That's fantastic. And we're going to talk about it in a moment. This is a big contrast to what you were doing previously at your previous job. And so people always want to know, what were you doing in your previous job? Like, what was going on in your life when you found the course?
So when I found the course, it's when I was about a year and a half into working at my old job at the laundry, and I was already not satisfied working at that job. It was just long hours, and I was reached the cap of how much I could possibly make at that job, about $20 an hour. And I found the course, and I found the course, and I didn't do anything with it just because I was working so many hours, taking care of my family, and didn't have the time to actually get into the course. And then one day I hurt my back doing the work, and I knew I couldn't stay at this job any longer. And
Wait, I'm sorry, and again, I'm sorry, just slow down just a little bit when you're talking. What happened at your job? Did you
I,
hurt
yeah, I
yourself?
hurt my back just doing the work.
Oh, okay. You had an injury.
Yeah,
Wow. That's pretty sobering, right? You kind of see
yeah.
the impact of this kind of heavy labor that you're doing.
And I
And
remember couple months back, I purchased your course, and I didn't really go through it. And then I realized this is the best way out of the job that I did. And I was still working that job too with a hurt back to support my family. This was my best way out.
wow. Wow, man. And just to give people a clearer picture, you say you're working in a laundry. So you said some kind of spa or something, but you were basically doing like hundreds of loads of laundry a day, right? Or dozens of loads of laundry yourself?
Yeah. So there was so much laundry that had to be done in a day. It was 12-hour shifts, and it would be four giant laundry machines, the size of like probably the size of refrigerators, and they'd all take like 15 minutes. It would just be hundreds of loads every single day.
So you're physically loading in the laundry, putting in the detergent, running it, pulling out the laundry, and you're doing this all day long for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. So it doesn't sound like the most rewarding career. I mean, some of these jobs, man, that's rough. That's really rough, physically, mentally. You told me that, but at the very least, you were able to listen to like you didn't really you weren't micromanaged. You had time to like listen to podcasts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Since nobody else wanted to do the job, it was just me in the laundry room. And yeah, I could just listen to all the podcasts and all the audiobooks that I wanted to.
Got it. Is that how you found the course? Were you kind of like searching for stuff during your job or on YouTube? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I could also like watch YouTube videos and all that. And I was just looking into possible careers that I was into. And yeah, your course eventually came up.
Well, I'm glad it did. And that's interesting too. I've had jobs like that. I don't know, there's like a slang term for it, but it's like a job where it's like it's not a good job, but at least it's so mindless that you are able to then, focus on other things. And good on you for not just like watching Netflix or something for 12 hours. You actually were out there trying to better yourself, listen to podcasts, find another skill set, get yourself out of this career. And I think you had told me that you're doing 12-hour shifts and you were working overtime as well. Like how many hours a week were you working?
So it was 12 hours with overtime. It was with everything, it'd be about 60 hours a week on average.
Wow. That
Even
sounds
more, especially during like the Christmas season. And I'm grateful that I got out when I did because the Christmas season was coming around again. They were
wow.
16-hour days.
That is rough. And so when you
Oh,
come home from a job like that, I mean, you just go to sleep?
yeah. Because there were so many hours and so many shifts, just because this spa was open 24 hours a day.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I'd go to sleep, come back to a mountain of laundry that they left from the night before.
Wow. Okay. So we see what was going on before. So then I can see your motivation. So you get the course, and as you mentioned, you didn't do much with it initially because you were working so hard. And then you had this injury, which really inspired, motivated you to focus. So once you realized you have to get out of this job, what happened?
So even after I hurt my back, I still had to work the job. I was taking like to make it through those 12-hour shifts. I had to take like painkillers and wear like lifting belts just to make sure I could not hurt myself even more. And 12-hour days, it's already 12 hours already gone. 8 hours of sleep, I only had like 4 hours to really work with. And I watched through like in your course, there's the original blueprint, and I just like step by step. I just need to make sure I get done as much as I can today in my 4 hours. And next day, I won't worry about that. All I can do is worry about today because there's so much I had to do. Like it just seems so daunting when you first start because it's just how really it's just how do you start a career and
Yeah. And you did, that's what you do, guys. I mean, whether you're working a job like this or, you're in an office job, I know it's very intimidating in the beginning, but you had the right attitude, which is you do what you can in the time you have. And it's like slow and steady, day after day. Don't try to, you don't have to watch all the course in one day. You do your 4 hours one day, the next day, the next day. That's great. And then so like how long, did you do everything in the course? Did you generate your experience? Like how did that go?
so my way of tackling such a big mountain it was just to do essentially just look at all the job postings that they had in my area and just bare minimum, get the minimum done, and basically everything that you suggest on your blueprint. Just make sure I get the minimum done on the roadmap, and then if I have time, once I start applying, then I can start building on top of that afterwards, and then slowly build more and more. But first, I just needed the minimum just so that I could start getting interviews. so that I could get out of the situation I was in.
Got it. And so for the minimum, what do you mean you did the spreadsheet, you did the paper assignments, did you
Oh
build
yeah,
a website? What did you run a campaign? What did you actually do?
yeah. So yeah, I wasn't going to skip any steps because it was, yeah, I just had to get out. So I did everything: the PPC, the spreadsheet, the SEO audits, worked on campaigns. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, man. You did it. You followed the instructions, and obviously you're very serious. So how did it go? Like once you started applying, like how did it lead to this job you have now?
So I first started with I first started because I was also kind of shy. I wasn't gonna ask, as you just ask people, as you suggest, ask people for their campaigns. I was gonna build up my own site first, say I could do it first before I could go out. So first I started by building my own site around my own passions, as you suggest, and then I went out and asked other people on their campaigns. The first one I got was actually from the Facebook group. Someone was just offering a campaign that company that they didn't have the time to do with. And that was a huge springboard because it was a PPC campaign that was $300,000 a year of ad spend. And that was a huge thing that I could just put onto my resume immediately.
Wow. That's really, yeah, yeah. And that's interesting, guys. Yeah, in my Facebook group, there's so many people now. And sometimes someone will have a client and say, I don't have any time to work on this client. Does anyone want a client to get experience? But that's huge. I mean, a lot of times, and I tell people in the course, it's totally fine and great if the person's, if they're spending a few $100s a month, that's just as valuable experience. That'll get you hired. But $300,000 a year, that's a lot. So, so you were able to meet with this client and they allowed you to manage the account.
Yeah, I was it was a nonprofit in Atlanta. Yeah. And we just met I got connected through the visual person on Facebook and we just went on a call. And right after that, they just gave me access immediately. And I just ran through the PPC just checklist through the entire site. They had all the same problems as as expected. No negative keywords, all that stuff. Just how to, and that was just how it went.
That's awesome. And yeah, guys, and I'll tell you in the course, one of the reasons it's amazing. I've been doing this for a few years now, teaching people, and it's like this accounts have the same problems over and over again. You don't need to be the master of Google Ads, just like the basic hygiene of the accounts is like you'll get your hands on an account that someone else was supposedly managing and be like, what were they thinking? So this is really cool that you were able to do that. But I'm curious because that's PPC and you're working in SEO right now. So how did all that stuff lead to this current job?
So in your course, as you mentioned, the main two avenues were PPC and SEO. And I was going to find a job in digital marketing, whatever it took. So I decided that I was going to have it learn both of them and apply for both types of jobs, increase my odds. And then I'd send out different resumes, one that's specifically PPC focused on, and one that was more SEO focused. And I got, yeah, I got several job interviews for both of them, and I ended up choosing the current one I have just because it was the best opportunity that I could.
That's awesome, man. That's what I do in the course. You can do PPC or SEO. And honestly, this is kind of interesting because you have that experience. You could pivot to PPC if you wanted to, or obviously take this experience you're getting now and then leverage to a higher paying job in the near future. But making 50K, you're in Canada, making 50K entry level, like you said, your previous job you had capped out at like $20 an hour and you're working overtime. So this sounds, like a great job, but how, like, walk me through, like, how did you actually get, how did the interview go and what was it like when you got hired?
The interview for this job in particular, the other ones I had several interviews for a bunch of other positions, and then there was just like multiple interviews for a bunch of them, and there was just a lot to go through and a lot of interview process. This one in particular, this one in particular was great just because I did an SEO audit for like the SEO audit that the template that you had. I just did it for I did it for a bunch of places that I applied for, but I also did it for this one. And then I brought it into my interview and it was only like a 10-minute interview. I walked in and they offered me the job.
That's amazing, guys. Uh, that's so great. And you can see, there's a place for everybody in this field, you don't have to like dazzle people necessarily in the interview. Like they could see that you were serious, you had the skills and then again, the projects from the course showcase your knowledge. And obviously they saw that very quickly, you'd be a good fit. So did they offer you the job at the end of the interview or was it like an email? How did you actually get the job offer?
At the end of the interview, they essentially just uh, told me they'd love to bring me on as soon as possible. And yeah, when I left the interview, like a week later, yeah, they sent me the offer. Actually, I asked because I was in the process of interviewing for other companies as well. I told them that I need until the end of the year, so which was a month, until I see how the rest of the interviews go and which one's the better option, and I'll decide which one I'll choose.
That is a baller move, by the way. That is something you guys can do when you're interviewing, which happens when you start getting multiple interviews. And you're not, it's funny, you're really like negotiating without negotiating. You're like, just being honest, you have multiple options and you're going to choose the best option. And that always raises your status in a negotiation. And, uh, but how did it feel to get that? How were you feeling when they said they wanted to offer you the job?
It was probably the best feeling I've ever had. Like, yeah, it's the difference between getting a job, something that just like you can physically do. It's just like you're physically strong enough to do a job. It's nice, but dedicating in time onto something and having it actually work out was an amazing feeling.
It's wonderful. That's wonderful, man. Yeah, guys, you can see the impact of, learning skills that employers want and building something in yourself that, is valued by others is very fulfilling. But at the same time, it's kind of funny because that was such a great feeling, yet you still told them, well, hold on, I'm gonna wait and see what is the best offer. Um, and so, how did you end up deciding on this job over the other jobs? What made this job the best option?
As you mentioned before, like why I was doing PPC campaigns for people as well as ending up in an SEO job. I didn't know, like after watching the course, I was bouncing between the two. I couldn't really decide what I enjoyed more doing. I thought I liked PPC when I went through the course originally, and then I needed experience, so I got the experience from the PPC campaigns, especially because there were more people. Everyone who offered that needed help with the PPC, and I thought I liked that more. So I didn't know which one to bounce between. And then at the end of the day, I had two main interviews, like the one I have now, and then the one also, yeah, the other job was a PPC job, and that one it was also amazing because the interview process for that, one of your examples in the one of the assignments in your example assignments, it was exactly that assignment. And I could just use the assignment as it was the exact same assignment. So I could
Wow.
get through the process. And I was like, wow. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was a mixture of I enjoyed SEO at the end of the day. I enjoyed that more, the work, as well as the people I was trying to help. The BBC job, it was great. But yeah, after working there for a month now, it's nice to have a skill that actually helps people find what
Yeah.
they're looking.
Wow, man. Well, that's wonderful that you had this option to choose. You're like, we went from having no options to suddenly you have two amazing job offers and you get to pick the better. It's not like you're picking the lesser of two evils. You're picking the better, because it sounds like you could have been happy at the PPC agency as well. You're just happier at this SEO job. You just enjoy it more. And everybody in the course, people ask me like, which is better, PPC or SEO? And I said, well, you got to do both. And you'll know some people are just into paid search and then other people just love SEO. And you find it's very exciting to find that thing that resonates with you and pursue it. And then it makes you more passionate, it makes you a better candidate. And so what was it like to get the offer, the actual offer and like accept it? How was that for you?
getting the offer felt surreal. I just couldn't believe that it actually happened. Like getting a job in digital marketing, it's back when I was trying to apply for jobs after university for my interior design, it was just it's so many people just and so little jobs. And it's weird to have us feel that's the other way around. That it's so many offers and just I can only pick one. For example, like after like I started working in SEO, the other day just randomly just I go to the gym every day and just talk to random people, business owners, and they asked me what I did and I told them I do SEO and I just got more clients just but yet I don't have the time to help them. It's completely different.
That's very, yes, guy, dude. If you're in the course, you listen to me talk. He's living exactly what I say. I say, like, you're like, I always say, you're like the prettiest girl at the dance. Like, people are interested in pursuing you with this skill set versus what you we didn't talk about this too much, but Patrick said he went to college and majored in interior design, and that you said like there were just not enough jobs for all the people who graduated. Whereas in digital marketing, you said there's still a high demand and low supply of people who know the skill set. But also in terms of selling the service, like my strategy, and this is very cool because you seem to be a pretty low-key guy. Like you're not out there like, hey, you should buy this and try this. Like you're probably just chatting with people naturally. And when they ask you what you do, it's just a very natural conversation, and people who own businesses are interested because who the heck doesn't want more traffic from Google? So it's like you have this guy. Now, when this guy or when this person was interested in working with you, or you said you met a potential client like this, did you have to sell him on the service, or were you just kind of casually talking?
It's basically the opposite. I've been going to the same gym for a while now, and we've been just like talking. And like my he randomly brought up what I did for a living, and I told him that I was SEO, and then he was kind of upset that I didn't tell him that I did it sooner. He's like, "We've been talking for months now. You could have been helping me sooner. Why are you hiding out from me?" And I didn't even know how to say it because, as you said, I'm pretty low key. I wouldn't just damn, I just ask.
That's so great, man. It's like a low key sales. Well, I hope yeah, and I love that you love what you're doing, working, and you're working just 40 hours a week at this job, right? No overtime.
No,
Yeah. So, and some of my students, it depends on, like, I think it sounds to me like, I mean, after working that hard at the other job, it must be nice to be able to come home and relax and like have a life outside of the job. And some of my students who are very driven will take on extra clients and work, extra 10 hours a week or to get the extra money. But it's totally up to you. And again, it's amazing to have those options. What is it like, though? I'm curious, your health and like your well-being and just your general day-to-day now at this job versus the previous job.
previous job. The nice thing about it is the other job is just that I after living working there for like 6 months, I moved right next to it. So it'd just be I would finish work and then go walk across the street and that's it. The thing about this job now is that yeah, it's an hour commute and back. So it's still a 10-hour day, but after doing 12-hour days, it feels like cakewalk in comparison. Even when I come back, it's just a completely different thing. I don't even know how to start it.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I get the tone of what you're saying, but you're kind of mumbling.
Do you mind repeating the question? Kind
I
of lost.
just I just want to know what it feels like in terms of work-life balance to have this job. Like how
Work-life
does
balance. Yeah, 40 hours versus 60. It's nice to have a life again. It's nice to actually see my friends again. I used to work 6 days a week and only having one day to cram all of any social interaction in it because the rest of the time would just be working or taking care of my family. Now I have now I have weekends and I have nights to myself for the first time since like university years ago. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And then of course and then what is it like on the job itself? You said you like the people you work with, you're enjoying the day to day. Like, do you get support? Do you find like again, like what's it like to interact with other people all day after being, working, in a laundry room by yourself? How is that?
Well, the work itself is great. It's even though it was mindless to work at the laundry room, time still felt like wouldn't fly by. I wouldn't ever be in like the flow state. I would never like never just like, oh wow, 12 hours just passed by in an instant. The last working in this job right now, days I start my work at 9 sometimes. I can't believe it's already the end of the day. The people, and also the great part about, at least for me, as like I like keeping to myself, it's nice to have the SEO work is just nice to be nice quiet work. No one's rushing me about towels anymore. No one's aggravated about the work. Like it's just a much better work. People, at least I can discuss something, a skill set, discuss something that matters really. It's at the laundry room would just be, if there were people talking, it would just be about complaining about anything, talking about things that laundry stuff, if anything, if it was
Yeah.
work things.
Yeah. And you said to me, I mean, you like working in the office. Like you kind of thought you'd want to work at home, but I think for you, I think it's great, especially after being isolated for those 2 years. I think working in an office for you sounds like the best situation. I think as people, it's very important. I did this video recently about like remote versus in-house jobs. Of course, most people want remote jobs, and I think it's fantastic, but there is value at times in an office. There's, being around other people, other human beings. It can, if you're going to be a remote worker, I had to deal with this. Like, if you're going to be by yourself, you have to either have a family around you, friends, you have to create some kind of social networking around you. So I think it's doing you a lot of good just to be out in the office with other people. And I think it's wonderful what you just said. That's kind of, I had similar experience at my jobs. Again, I always had jobs like you're describing where you're counting the minutes until it's 5. You're like Stanley Hudson in the office. You're like, just like, get me out of here. I'm ready for the day to be over. Now the experience is very different where you're so engrossed in what you're doing that, probably it's like, I know that experience from like 9 a.m. and then, oh, it's 11. Well, how did it get to be 11? Okay, well, wait, it's 2. Oh, wait, up. And then it's just done. And it's a really, that is a good day because it means you are, as you said, in the flow state and you're actually like absorbed in something, which is it's great. So yeah, man. I'm very happy for you. I appreciate you sharing the story with everybody here on YouTube. If people want to reach out to you on LinkedIn and ask you questions, is that all right?
Of course.
Okay, great. I will put the link to your LinkedIn below the video. And is there anything else you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview?
It maybe seem daunting, but as long as you take it step by step. I started my journey on taking it seriously on the 1st of November, and I got the job offer on the 30th. It took me a month, even though I had no experience. I had no options really. And I needed to get it done. And I know if you're in the situation, it's possible, even though it may seem daunting.
That's awesome, man. That's very inspiring. Yeah, guys, I mean, the more focus you put in it, the faster you get results. You can't guarantee how long it's going to take, but like I can just, from your story, I can tell you made that shift in your mindset and that focus, and you got what what you were intending. And I think it's awesome. So yeah, again, thanks for sharing your story with everybody. I was very touched. I think it's very inspiring. Especially I think also for the people, watching, who are also a bit low key, to understand, I know I'm pretty loud on camera, so you don't have to be, you don't have to, have like a big personality to be very successful in this field. You just have to have the commitment to learning the skill set and also to want to help the businesses that you're working on. So again, thanks, Patrick, for sharing your story. Let's keep in touch. I'm excited to see where you go from here, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good.